to speaking this morning. Now, my first question to you is, when was the last time you read a book? When was the last time you indulged in knowledge seeking? Not because you have an examination, but because you want to improve yourself. Now, a lot of the times I get to have individuals come to me and like, oh, come and do this, we're going to do this, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that. You know, a lot of times, even on almost every radio station on television that you can find these days, there's an inciting of knowledge seeking. Oh, come and get this thing. Even universities are doing it these days. There's a 3-month program, intensive. You do this, you become this, you become that. Yeah, but that's because you want something. What about you getting to do things to improve yourself? Now, a few years ago, I got to meet a young man in Abuja. This young man had a very interesting portfolio. But what was even more interesting was that he had people who were working for him that were BSc holders and doctorate degree holders. Yes, you probably know this type of story. And he's the man that didn't go to school that is now employing everybody. But this is not that story. Because this is a story of an individual who was self-taught. Emphasis on self. Yes, he got to the basic of, university, right? And decided, you know what? I want to train myself on how to do this particular thing. And because he was interested and he was determined, he got to be able to open doors that even those who were more knowledgeable than him in terms of their degrees couldn't open. But is that enough for you to want to read? Why haven't you read? Well, this morning, my guest, Mr. Nsirim Goodluck, is going to talk to us with me, find out why some of you have refused to open a book. Ladies and gentlemen, your conversation station starts now. Mr. Goodluck, good morning to you.
Thank you very much, Jude, for having me.
Why are a lot of Nigerians not opening books? And this is not hearsay, it's not conjecture. There's been researches to prove that in the past 30 years, I have an article just in front of me, in the past 30 years, the number of people who actively seek out knowledge, not to become rich investors, not to pass their JAM or the WAEC results, or to pass their MBBS examination or any other professional examination, has actually reduced. Why are we not reading?
Well, Jude, that's one question that has been seeking for answers for a very long time. But I'll do my best in trying to let the people know what I have discovered as regards to what you just said. Of course, today in the society, what the young people magnify, or what a lot of people seem to adopt as a lifestyle, are some of the things that are actually not supposed to be. For example, over the years, we've always had a major problem. The educational sector in Nigeria have always had a major problem.
Yes, funding from the government has been very, very poor.
The issue of lack of funding or poor funding, so to say. But today we have another major problem, which lies with, which has to do with the issue of the determination and zeal amongst young people, to maximize or utilize the opportunity their parents are availing them, by sending them to school. And so it becomes a hydra-headed kind of problem, as it has to do with the educational sector here in Nigeria. I'm sure you're aware of what the last JAM results that were released.
Oh yes, we're having a conversation about that too.
It was abysmally poor, and then you begin to ask yourself, what has happened in our days? Like I keep saying, during our holidays, the only thing that will keep you going are the books you read while you're at home, so that when you go back to school, you'll be able to have that bragging right.
Yeah, you've studied this, read this.
Yes, I read this. Yeah. You and your classmates will be, arguing. Did you read this? Did you read that? And all of that. So, but today it's a whole different story, where we see people adopting lifestyles that they see, flashy lifestyles that they see on different social media platforms and all. And to me, I feel that the family units have not also been doing so much about that. Yes, because one thing I keep believing is the fact that as a child that's growing up, maybe you stay with your parents from primary school to secondary school. And the only time probably you will have to take decisions by yourself will be when you are enrolled into the university. And so I believe that the families are supposed to have, first of all, lay the foundation for orientation, the kind of orientation that should lead you as you are advancing in your academic sojourn. And so if, for example, you are given the opportunity to live by yourself, all by yourself in a university space, and then the family did not do their job well, you are bound to derail. I don't know if you get it. So it means that your parents have not been able to indoctrinate you into that line of reading. Because I believe that reading molds the mind.
Well, for a lot of people who were probably raised, I'd say in the 90s, went to primary and secondary school about that time, it was our form of escapism.
Yeah.
The notion, even I hope my mother's not listening. Now, even my mother.
Yeah.
Even after she had us, had a box under her bed that was filled with M&B novels.
Okay.
So Mills and Boons, for those of you who don't know this.
Yeah.
So in her spare time, you see her in a corner reading. Yes, it was all romance and maybe fantasy land, but the point is she was reading.
Yeah.
She was availing herself to different cultures, because obviously those books will give you an idea of what people see.
Exactly.
She was availing herself to words that maybe a lot of people probably would not be using at that time.
Yeah.
Now, I started to do that. But we are here now, Mr. Goodluck. We have smart devices. We're able to read online. And yet, for some weird reason, people still are not reading the kind of content that should be stimulating their minds. Instead, like you said, they're reading ideas and stuff, that will make them carry out activities that they ought not to carry.
Yeah.
Has technology failed us in that respect? I have a minute. Do you think technology has failed us, or is it us Nigerians that have failed technology?
Well, it's just about people approaching technology with the wrong, should I say, approaching technology with the wrong ideas. If not, like you said, the search engines are now available to us by just you having your smartphone with you. But you ask yourself, how many of these young people make use of these smart engines? Search engines on our phones. What most people do with phones are just, I want to have an iPhone so that whenever I take my pictures, I become sharper than I look naturally, and that's just what the whole thing is all about. But I'm still believing that it's not late. It's not late. A lot of people, we just need to go back to the drawing board.
Okay.
Ask ourselves what we need to do. And like I said, that's why I decided on my own, in my little corner, I decided to. I came up with a book club, to see how I can mentor students in secondary school, especially those of them in SS2 and SS3. And I have a culture where I give out one book for them to read. There are about 12 of them, in my custody right now.
Okay.
I give out one book each every month for them to read. And when they read, they summarize and give to me.
Okay, all right. So that we'll come back and we'll talk about the reading culture, and we're speaking once again with Goodluck. Stay tuned.
The show continues after this break. Night.
It's close to the bottom of the hour this morning. The rain has stopped. It's just now drizzle, so I'm expecting a lot more people to be making their way to their places of business. Now, the Executive Director, Cle-stine Foundation for Literary Studies, joins me this morning, Nsirim Goodluck, and we're talking about the reading culture in Nigeria. And, our first question, our major question is, this technology really helping to improve Nigerians' reading culture? But we will continue this conversation with a basis, and I'm going to ask my guest to help me with that basis, because we have schools propped up everywhere, and I mean everywhere. If you have visited at least 10 cities in Nigeria, you will not be starved of seeing school buildings everywhere or in those places. From Lagos to Port Harcourt here, Owerri is not far, Umuahia is not far, in Abakaliki there are schools. If you get all the way to Vunagenebude, you will find schools. So the question is, what exactly are they teaching in these schools? Why is it that, from I'd say about 2 decades or 3 decades ago, we had people who were really engaged in reading. Like my guest said, when you come back from the holidays, have you read this book? Have you read that book? I used to sit down and read encyclopedias. They had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the curriculum that was in front of me. There was nobody that was going to ask me any question in my primary 5 or my primary 6 about what you found in the encyclopedias in your neighbor's house or even in the Guinness World Record books those days. It used to be a thing, by the way. Those of you who are going online looking for the Guinness World Record, they used to have a book that was published every year, at the end of every year. So we used to look forward to those people who could afford it and buy. Question is, why is that same culture not here today?
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeriainfo FM. Nigeriainfo, let's talk.
Well, Mr. Goodluck, once again, thank you for sticking with us. Welcome.
All right, Jude.
So, what is the problem with the education?
Okay, like I said, I would like to lay a little bit of background as definitions of what education is. Because the problem we are having too is that a lot of people who have gone to school, who are educated, are not living up to expectation. And that by so doing, they are discouraging the younger ones that are supposed to at least look up to them and say, I know somebody who went to school in my area, this is what he does, this is what he does. And so I would like to define education by saying that education here, from what I have, is the process of acquiring knowledge, skills, values, and understanding through teaching, training and research, encompassing personal and social development, and promoting critical thinking and problem-solving abilities.
Critical thinking.
Yes, that's the key word there. Now, you ask yourself, a lot of people that you know that have gone to school, those you and I, we call them graduates in our localities, have they been able to... We have a lot of problems, major and minor problems in a society that requires critical thinking to solve. How have they deployed? How have they been able to deploy it, to solve some of these problems? It means that we have a lot of people that are poorly educated. That's just the truth.
But poorly educated, they have very good degrees. They're MSc holders. They're PhD. In fact, some people I met someone 2-3 weeks ago who has 2 doctorate degrees.
It's okay. You just made mention of the fact that you used to read encyclopedia, read extensively when you are reading when you are not even preparing for any examination.
Yeah, they have nothing to do with it.
That's exactly what education is all about. Outside the ones that you read because you have an exam to write within the university walls. Of course, if you go to that kind of school that you just read or passed all your exams and then came back home forgetting everything you read in school, you didn't go to school. What we talk about is building the mind. There's a way you will read. Education and reading, constant reading to me works like somebody who was actually sick of malaria, so to say. And then you now go for injection, an antibiotics injection for 3 days, and it starts clearing off the malaria parasite in you. That's exactly what education, reading regularly, that's what it does to your mind and your entire system.
So who's meant to make... Okay, yeah, now I agree. I think a lot of our listeners, before we open the phone lines, will probably agree with you that, okay, those who we claim to be educated, the graduates, haven't quite done enough to convince those who are behind them to say, you know what, I want to imitate this person. I want to be like this person. But who in the schools, or is it the schools that are going to be able to, make or mold these children to want to embrace the reading culture? Like you said, you come back from school, from holidays those days is, have you read this thing? Do you know about this thing? Those were the type of conversations as children, right? We used to enjoy. I remember at one point in time, there used to be cliques. People who would feel, we have read this thing.
Yeah.
You have not read it. You don't know that in this country they used to do things like this.
Yes.
And so we on the other side, whose parents obviously couldn't afford encyclopedias, we had to look for where to read.
Yeah, reading cartels in class.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word. They were reading cartels in class.
Yeah.
But these days, like you said, we have technology. Almost every school I've been to, whether it is, the Potopoto Primary School somewhere in Port Harcourt or the highbrow school somewhere, either they or their teacher or their neighbor has a smart device, and so they can readily look at their phones, search with the search engines available for them, and read these things.
Yeah. What beats me hollow is the fact that this is a computer age that has seen what education, of course, the technology we talk about, they are products of education.
Yes.
I mean, they have seen what education has, veiled us in this generation. But they are the ones declining, unlike our parents who did not see much of what we have now, but they still believe that at the end of the tunnel, as it has to do with educational and academic pursuit. So what is happening? It's because we magnify some of the wrong things. Some of the things we magnify in the society are the wrong things. For example, I keep saying it that, okay, from the definition of education I give you, it means that until you begin to think of a solution that you can solve, no matter how little in your immediate environment, until you begin to align yourself with that, the inaugural speech of late JF Kennedy, where he said, ask not what your country can do for you. Until you begin to see yourself unconsciously thinking in that direction, it means you are poorly educated. For example, our Nigerians always go out outside the shores of this country for photo ops where you see flowers and all those. But those things are just minor things that anybody can do. We have had local government chairmen here who can just say, okay, let's just beautify this area. I don't know if you understand. Yeah. Something as simple as that. But people don't do it. They compound problems. And I was having a conversation with one of my friends. He told me that this generation is actually not trying. This is a generation that's gradually destroying everything that they met on ground. Yes, with the approach we have in leadership. Yeah. Now, Jude, before you and I were born, there were institutions that were on ground. True. We had the schools, we had hospitals, we had churches, and all of that. These things were kept by people. They were preserved by people that came before us. And the expectation of the society for keeping those things is that once you go through these trainings, you are expected to add to what you saw on ground. Add value to society. I don't know if you understand. Yeah. But today we are living in a society, we're living in a kind of generation that everybody who enters a door wants to shut that door on every other person, with either by attitude problem or deliberately wanting to be wicked. And the people you are shutting this door against they are our relatives, they are our children, people that are coming behind us. They are not aliens. So I think that, for example, greed is the product of a poor education. Okay. Greed, stealing in any guise, is a product of a poor education. After all, somebody told me that one of the most difficult things to attain today in life is the mastery of the art of contentment. Yes, mastery of the art of contentment in its own is a very difficult thing to do. That is, you are Jude. I'm okay just being... You opted to be Jude, and you are okay being Jude. It's a very big problem today. And that's why you see a lot of things going wrong in the society, because people have not, trained their minds to reason. But is it the people that are going to train their minds, or is it the schools? Every generation has a form of technology available for them. If we cast our minds to the great philosophers, the Socrates and the Platos of this, and the Euphates of this life, they had the papyrus text. They were basically writing on
on small goat skins and passing over to people. They were bringing a lot of you may not know this, but the town halls we're calling today have always been in existence. Our elders, from what I've read, will sit down maybe under a tree or maybe in the Igwe's house or something, and then they will discuss the problems. They will talk. This were the technologies available to them at that time.
Yeah.
So now we have better technology, but it's all about BBLs and the hair and the and I think it's a global problem. But for us as Nigerians, I'm sure you've seen this report that in the US, Nigerians, the Nigerians or the people there of Nigerian ethnicity make up to one of the highest percentile of educated people.
Yeah.
In America.
Yeah.
But here in Nigeria, those of us who have degrees are not, quote unquote, critically thinking, we're not solving problems. So who's going to make us critically think? Is it our teachers? Is it our lecturers? Who exactly is responsible for this dirt that you just made mention of, that people don't critically think?
Well, like I said, these are problems that were created by humans, and it will also take humans to correct them. Well, first of all, start with this: the advocacy I am into right now. If a lot of people do it in their various localities, I don't even understand. Speak to children, say to something when you see something. I don't even understand. It's when you go to the streets of Port Harcourt today, unlike when you and I were growing up, you see 15-year-old boys, 14-year-old girls that are like living. They are independent.
Well, that's
they are independent. And I can remember up to 20 something, my parents just keep buying me clothes, so to say. And but today you have a situation where you buy your children clothes. They don't like those kind of clothes you buy for them. They tend to have their own wardrobes that will definitely sell out families that are raising them. And parents see all these things and they don't talk. I don't know if you get. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's an attitudinal problem. It's something that magnifying the wrong things in the society actually cost us. And so I believe that until we begin to discourage some of those things that people tend to embrace, especially the younger ones, those things that they tend to embrace, call it advent of social media or technology or whatever. For example, you are Jude. My name is Goodluck. I can come here and tell you how I grew up from my secondary school. I'm proud of where I am. You and I know that journalists are not multi-millionaires, but we're just comfortable with who we are. Can some of those people that actually influence these younger ones, misleading them, can they come to the radio and tell us how they started, how they made their money, how proud they are with the wealth they have? There's some inexplainable wealth out there that a lot of people seem to
magnify.
Want to go after this whole thing. And it's a problem. It's a problem, even in our immediate society, in our immediate environment. If you're not one of those guys that would spray at least 50, 100,000 naira in mints, you have not arrived. Even without people knowing what you do, but just be in that category.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what is driving most of this. Not a kind of sustainable kind of wealth, which of course comes from starting a foundation, building from a foundation.
People can see the progress.
Yes, the processes, and then one day you arrive at somewhere. People just want. You can just see a boy that you used to know him like 3 months back. Today he is driving a G-Wagon. You understand? And nobody will ask questions. People will say, when I was poor, did you ask me? So like I said, those are some of the things that are distracting people. And when you see somebody who you know can't even speak 2 lines of English driving that kind of car, you don't expect somebody who has decided to go to school to continue. It's as if, man, this is a longer time. This new people are putting me through is taking a longer time. I want it now. Okay. That's what is misleading some of our youths. That's what is responsible for the poor performance you saw in the last jump.
Okay, all right. So let's open the phones and let's get to talk to you. Do you agree with my guest? We have not embraced technology to the benefits. Right now, the reading culture is down. People are not critically thinking, and that's because people are not opening their minds, availing their minds to opportunities that rest not just in physical books, but in information and education. Critical thinking, Goodluck has said this morning, is lacking in most of us. 017-923-0002, 0817-923-0003 at Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. At Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. WhatsApp is 0809-030-6416. Good luck. Straight off, Darlington Ogbuku on Facebook says, technology is only solving the problem which our educational system cannot solve, such as job creation. And one person that has been advocating that our educational system should be reformed in such a way that we are studying within our universities should reflect in our society. For example, someone who studied medicine in school should be able to produce drugs. Darlington is
that's the job of a pharmacist.
That's the job of a pharmacist. But I think I understand the narrative he's trying to put. JJ is on the line from Rumi, where we have Daniel in Imo Gate. JJ, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, please.
Good morning to your wonderful guest this morning.
Thank you very much, JJ.
Jude, I will tell you my personal background. I was born in Escravos, a town they call Aruton. That's where I did my primary school. Jude, that you are already enrolled in school, and on Monday you're not in school. Tuesday you're not in school. Jude, be prepared for boys who will come to your house, pick you to the school.
What?
Oh God. You know, Akpobi. They will not, your leg not go touch ground till they carry you in that school.
What?
I'm telling you, it's a small community that everybody know each other by their names. First name for that matter. So they know each other's house. They say, why anybody say Jude on Monday, say no, Tuesday nobody. The 6-man squad don't line up. Straight to Jude's house, Jude's father's house. And we will carry Jude, your leg not go touch ground till you reach school.
Wow.
And by the time they give you the flogging of your life, you're not going to know when they break tomorrow and reach school. And also, pray that you don't bathe well before you come to that school. They will bathe you in the assembly.
What?
Education was very free. You have books, you have everything, but you must come to school. So when you have that fear, part of why I think we have this situation right now, even though the advanced world too are complaining that not nothing is being discovered and all those, that people are lazy and all those, they are too complaining. But I tell you, we get those freedom too early. Oh, you can decide not to go to school. You be who? I don't understand. That you wake up in the morning instead of preparing for school, not Saturday, you just stay at home. The mother say, leave am now.
But JJ, if you remember, and I'm sure my guests will also remember this. You know, a few years ago, under the former administration, talking about the Nyesuwike administration, there was, and I think even the Amechi administration, there was a clear edict that look, every child of school age should not be found outside their school premises within the hours that you are meant to be in school.
Yes, I understand. I was here now.
Yes,
but
so
I'm telling you, there is a little bit of freedom in the hands of the children. They can hide in the house. This one, when they call your father bedroom, come carry you. You understand? So that any freedom is what is causing all this problem. If not, your mate they school you their house, then send 6-man squad to come carry you. Then your eye will see pepper.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you before I go on to the next caller.
I'm listening.
Please, do you tell your nieces, or from your experience with your nieces or your children, do you think they read books just to pass exam, or they are reading because they enjoy reading? How have you made them enjoy reading, you, JJ?
My brother, they read the exam, they need to pass the exam for now. But we also advocate it too because of how we grow up to make sure too that they read. But that the India right now, like I said, the Western world are also complaining that no new discovery is happening right now because people are lazy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
so good luck. You want to respond? No, there's not a lot of discovery. I beg to differ because I follow a lot of what do you call them? online platforms where they have these discussions, and you're finding out technologies, coming through in military, in what do you call them, in medicine. Who would have thought that in our lifetime we'll have a malaria vaccine? But here we are. People are making strides.
From what JJ just admitted at the twilight of his call is the fact that the issue of critical thinking will always be lacking in the society, because when people don't read extra mile, if you go to school and read and pass examinations, there's a word invention. There's a reason why that word is there. It means that something new must be discovered.
Thank you.
And so if you don't have people that read, that go extra mile to read, go out of their curriculum, their school curriculum to read, we can't find something like that.
Yeah, because it's in the course of you going outside, you find, okay, maybe they tell you A is equals to B. I'm like, I don't agree A is equals to B.
Yeah, so I studied English and literature. There was something I was saying the other day on social media. That's what they call literary criticism. In literary criticism, you read literary works and then you tend to either agree or disagree with the writer on a particular issue. There was a time the late Senator Obiwale, he used to be a very serious literary critic.
Yes.
So he was like, since we have European literature, and this European literature is written in European language, of course, which is the English language, that until African authors begin to write in one of the African languages, that we shouldn't call any of these things, either the works of Wole Soyinka or Chinua Achebe, an African literature. I don't know if you understand. It was an argument. It's a valid argument.
Yeah.
And so you begin to see that for him, before he came up with that, he actually read, and he became somehow perturbed about the trend of African best hands writing in English.
Instead of in Yoruba, instead of in Shekiri, and
just to make sure that our languages, our African languages, don't go extinct. So those are products of critical thinking. I don't know if you understand. So there are societal issues like that people can actually discover solutions to them if you read extensively.
Miriam on the line from Okrika. Miriam, good morning to you.
Hi, Jude. Good morning.
Good morning, please.
I greet your guest, Jude. I remember my first birthday in secondary school, and they spread me small money. I used that money. That was the first birthday I can remember as an adult that I celebrated. And I used that money to buy an economics textbook. Look, Jude, so going to school is like if I don't go to school, it's like if they are not, don't give me food. I was not the most intelligent, at least from 6, rather those range. But I love school, and I try to invite back in my children. As when they sleep, when they wake up very early, I make sure they sleep early. And when they wake up, the first thing you do is to carry your books. And you cannot go to bed when you've not finished your homework.
Yeah.
You must carry one book. You must carry one book and read. Maybe one of the subjects or two of the subjects that you will learn one day. I tell them, please read ahead. They give you skill, read ahead. So when you do, and they if you wait by 3:30, at least 1 hour, 4:30, then you will start your chores and then start preparing, because I don't even want to wake up. So they do their chores, make their food, and then they find out, mommy, bye, okay. So you must wake up and read at least 1 hour. It's like don't read, but you must be roaming around your book.
You must be roaming around.
It is a must.
That's an interesting comment. Good luck.
Yeah.
You must be roaming around your books.
Exactly. and that's why we're able to have parents that bequeathed what we have today to us.
Okay.
And so if
let's get to hear from Francis. Sorry, please. Francis, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Jude. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm very well. Good morning, Francis.
Mr. Jude, let me share a story. How I grew up in primary school. I think our family values are gradually decaying, and nobody's paying attention to any longer. A situation whereby you woke up in the morning, your father, your mother did not even pay attention. They are not telling you go and bed, go to school early and everything. And you end up going to school by 10 a.m. in the morning. Are you going to school or you are going there to play? Where I was growing up in Akwa Ibom, before 7 o'clock, in fact, you will wake up by 6:30 to go and sweep the school premises, right from them, before 7:30 you're in school. Dude, have you noticed the way children are going to school these days?
They're going late.
Most especially the government school and the private school. 10 o'clock, a child is going from his house to the school. Tell me, what is he going to do?
Sometimes they won't even get to the school.
All right, Francis, thank you very much. All right, so Francis is alluding to, your comment about the family also playing a big role to this. Let me quickly read a comment here on WhatsApp. All right, this one says that critical thinking ended when we gave into digital education. A child needs tablets to function, calculator to do simple arithmetic. When I was in secondary school, I could recite almost half of the 4-figure table, cos, tan, and the rest. Wow. The discipline is no longer there. A child will do online class. Google and other search engines have taken away the spirit of reading. We need to read. We need to see reading as a mental development, not just for examination purposes.
Okay.
So let's quickly wrap up here. But I'll give you 30 seconds.
Okay. Just what this guy said. There was an experience I just had of recent in my program. One of the universities around. We were given an assignment: the public relations and the church. The image of the church and public relations. So we decided to go and do the assignment. It's a group work. So I went by myself. I was writing out things on my own. So I dropped it on the group WhatsApp. Somebody went and downloaded something from the internet and said there's already work done on that. And I'm like, so you want to? Was it not somebody that dropped that there? Somebody dropped it on the internet. You don't want to bring your own. So that's what education is. And my brother, to be sincere with you, that particular thing she brought from the internet was what was accepted.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's go on the break, please. We're back.
Stay with us. Nigeria Info.